When I tell y'all that we got baby birds everywhere, we got baby birds everywhere. There is a purple martin nest on our front porch this year. They have 3 babies. They decided today was the day to try to learn to fly. They picked a good day because the weather today is absolutely glorious. 80s, cool breeze, beautiful day to be out in the garden. I want to take today to show you guys 5 plants in my garden that I have found to be super low maintenance, super tough. I know that plant shopping is like in full swing. If you have a plant addiction like this one, you're shopping for plants like every free second you get, or even just like walking through to browse so that you can see, you know, I like to see what Callaway's got, or I like to see what Walmart has got. You know, I just like to pop in, check on what they're offering. And if you really want to make sure that you're putting the money in the right place this year, if you live in Texas, I'm like an hour north of Waco, and these are the plants that I have found to be worth the money because they come back year after year. They are tough as hell. Cold, rain, heat, drought, whatever you have to throw at these plants, they are winners. Let's get started. My first pick, and definitely my all-time favorite perennial, is Nepeta. Nepeta is also known as catmint. It's in the mint family, and it is very different than catnip. Nepeta is a beautiful, beautiful cold hardy and drought tolerant perennial. I love growing lavender, but it can be kind of fussy. I'm not gonna like sell you a false bill of goods on that one. They can be kind of fussy. Nepeta is the opposite of fussy, but it still gives you those big purple spires of blooms like lavender will. Let me show you a few that are in their peak. And also, just as a side note, because y'all know I'm like a propagation crazy person, it's really easy to propagate. Just so y'all can see how truly diverse Nepeta is, you can tell by the lighting that this is getting some dappled shade. This area will get blasted by afternoon sun. Come like 2 or 3, it'll get a couple hours of direct sunlight, and then the sun will kind of go down behind some other trees that are in the west, on the west side of our property. But you can tell there's a bee in there working it, and it is obviously a little bit past its prime. And the great thing about Nepeta is that when I come in here and take these blooms back, which I will, it'll just bloom again and again and again and again. This foliage will stay looking this beautiful green, healthy color all year. And I'm not kidding. If you put this out in full, hot, all-day sun, it will do this. It will look like this. It doesn't need irrigation. It doesn't need anything from you except to be cut all the way back every late winter or early spring, and it will just make huge, huge numbers of blooms all season. This is such a great adapted plant for Texas. The bees go insane for this plant. You're gonna want to give these room though. They get very big, and they also kind of seed around, which is not a big deal. It's not like aggressive, but it will sow a few seedlings every now and then. But this is just one plant. There, all the way over to there is one Nepeta. So it had flopped in the center earlier in the season, and look at all this fresh green growth that's coming out of that. In fact, I'm gonna need to get in here. Look at this soapberry sapling. I'm gonna have to come in there and cut that out at the bottom. We love a soapberry, but my goodness, did they seed everywhere. So I hate to disturb this spider, but I'm gonna have to get in here and pick this Nepeta off of this trailing rosemary because they're kind of fighting for space. It is gobbling up the other plants that are in this area, and it will do that. They just get so big. They're so well suited to our climate that sometimes we have to come in and get them back under control, which is no big deal. But they won't slow down even when it comes like July or August. They're such great plants. I can't say enough about Nepeta. It's hands down my favorite perennial for Texas. I heard from some people on TikTok that Nepeta can be hard to find. Do y'all find that? Is Nepeta hard to find in the garden center? Let me know in the comments if Nepeta is hard for you to find in the garden center. I haven't found that to be true, but I think that's very regional, just dependent. Like a lot of people might not be aware of the value of this plant and how adapted it is to our climate and how easy it is to grow, so therefore they don't know to carry it. Let me know if you have a hard time finding Nepeta. I'd be interested to know. Number 2 is going to be Russian sage. I gotta step through this Nepeta right here. Is absolutely buzzing with bees. Let me go around. Here we go. Russian sage. Bottom all the way to the top. I'm chasing off the pollinators that are in here, buzzing on it. These ones in the middle of this bed are a little bit further along. But this is Russian sage. Big, tall, beautiful blooms. Gorgeous silvery gray foliage. Take it down to about 18 inches every spring and it bounces back. There's no irrigation on most of them. They don't really need it. In fact, they'll shoot up real tall and then kind of fall over if they do get too much water irrigation. If you don't like how big that one gets, they do make smaller, more densely growing varieties. Let me show you the other one that I have over here. I want to say it's a denim and lace, which is a proven winners cultivar, and you'll see that it has a little bit of a darker foliage and a much tighter habit. There it is right there. Another Nepeta. I can't walk through my garden without finding a Nepeta, y'all. I put it everywhere. Here's the Russian sage. That's a flame acanthus growing right next to it. We'll talk about that here in a second. But you can see that this plant obviously grows much differently than the one that we just saw. And the foliage is a little bit darker also. Let's move on to number 3, which is a fragrant mistflower or a white mistflower. So white mistflower will grow in a more of a shrub type habit. By the end of the season, they can be like 3x3 or 4x4. I take mine down every spring to about 20-24 inches and they flush back with all this fresh green growth throughout the summer. They do get fairly large because our growing seasons are so long, or at least here where I am in 8B, our growing season's very long. We have our last frost like mid to late April and we won't freeze again usually until late November. So that's quite a long time for these plants to get to their full size. But when they do bloom, which is in late summer, early fall, huge, beautiful clouds of white, very highly fragrant flowers that the bees and the butterflies obsess over. They cover this mistflower like a blanket, and it is a native. So you can feel really good about that. Extremely drought tolerant, very tough, unbothered by disease, unbothered by pests. It is a workhorse, and it is throwing a few random blooms right now, which is not unusual for it. Sometimes it will do that in the spring, but that gives me an opportunity to show you what the blooms are like later on in the season when it will just be covered head to toe in beautiful blooms. Isn't that beautiful? There they are. Fairly easy to propagate this guy. Now would be a great time of year to take the cuttings, but as you can see, fairly tall already. I mean, we're not even out of May yet. I'm gonna come stand next to it. So it's armpit height and we're not even out of May yet. So gorgeous plant, gorgeous plant. My next pick will be very obvious to a lot of y'all that have gardened in Texas for a long time. It's a tried and true favorite of all native plant lovers, and that is autumn sage, also known as Salvia greggii. They come in all kinds of cool colors and they're extremely low maintenance and very, very drought tolerant. The only thing I do to these plants, and I have them all over the property, is I come through in late winter and early spring and take them down to about 18 inches. And they flush back and bloom like that. Let me show you a few of my favorites. This beautiful coral color, and you can tell by the shape of that bloom that a hummingbird would probably love these, which they do. Another little cluster of them. These were transplants. Y'all, I ripped these out very brutally in late winter, early spring, probably February, and plopped them out here, fully exposed. I only put the toughest plants in this flower bed. It's obviously not filled in yet. It's a work in progress, but I selected these for this flower bed that's right by the road. Full all day hot sun from dawn until dusk, but they're flowering, and they were just sticks when I put them in here. I didn't really have that high hopes for them, to be honest. Gorgeous color. Gorgeous color. This one is my favorite color because it's more of a purpley red. But y'all can see how versatile and beautiful and vigorous they are. Since we're already in this bed, let's talk about the red yucca. This red yucca runs through the center of this flower bed because you can see this flower bed from all of the sides, right? It's kind of like a kidney bean shape, and you're meant to walk around it and be able to view the flower bed from all sides. So something very tall is in the center. The hummingbirds, if I come out here in the morning, will attack me over this yucca. The red yucca is their absolute favorite. To heck with the hummingbird feeders, y'all. You just need red yucca. It's in full bloom right now. The bees and hummingbirds alike obsess over it. It is so low maintenance. It's evergreen. It's drought tolerant. It's a native. You can't beat the red yucca. And I think people sometimes overlook the red yucca because they think of it as like a parking lot plant. There's no need to. It is such a gorgeous plant in its own right. And it's used as a parking lot and highway landscaping plant because it's so tough. They're going to come back year after year. They're going to do really well with no water for months and months and months at a time. Don't sleep on it. Plant it in huge clusters. They're so striking. Number 5 has got to be Zexmenia, also known as hairy Wedelia. It is such an easy thing to kind of like pick up out of the place where it has naturalized and plop it somewhere else in your garden that needs a little bit of yellow color. And when I tell y'all it needs nothing from you, it needs nothing from you. I don't really even go in and clean it up in late spring, early winter. There's nothing to really do. It dies down to the ground, comes back fresh, dies down to the ground, comes back fresh. Doesn't need to be deadheaded, doesn't need any of that stuff. You could fuss with it if you really wanted to, but it doesn't need it. It doesn't need anything from you. It doesn't want that to look spectacular all season. They're very cheerful, yellow, low growing, and it just keeps on giving you more free plants, more free plants, more free plants as the season goes on. Look at how cheerful and happy. Aren't they cute? Look so pretty with the purple of the Russian sage behind. They're a really good front of the flower bed. Perennial, native, very tough. Came through Winter Storm Uri like a champ. There's obviously some pigeonberry invaders in here. What are you gonna do? But that's number 5. Y'all let me know what your tried and tested tough perennials are for your area of Texas, because I know that Texas is a big place and everyone likes to grow different things. I love to talk gardening. I love to get new ideas, so let me know what you love and what you think about these, and I will see y'all next time.